What's up, guys? I am pumped up right now because I just swam in the Mediterranean. If you don't know what that is, I think you can see it right behind me, but that is the exact same ocean where Paul got shipwrecked. That's Paul, the dude who wrote like a bunch of the parts of the Bible. I was in the same ocean as him, and I'm like, woo, this is awesome. Now, I know that we're not here to talk about Paul, we're talking about Jesus, but what you got to get, and what I want to say to you before we move on, is that I'm in Israel, and this is a real place, and the things that you read in the Bible, they're real places with real people. They're not just made up stories. And so you got to get this, that when you begin to have doubts or questions, you got to know that the things that we know about and that we read about from the Bible, they're actual historical real places. And right down the street is where Jesus grew up and lived his life. You got to know that the Bible that we read, it's a real deal. What we're talking about today is Jesus, and is Jesus alive? Well, here's the thing. If Jesus is alive, that means that he had to have risen from the dead, because we know that he was crucified. The debate becomes on, did he actually rise? And you got to know this, that I believe Jesus rose from the dead, but if you're going to be a follower of Jesus, the resurrection of Jesus Christ is the cornerstone. It's like the foundation of your faith. It's the foundation of everything that we believe, is the fact that Jesus Christ rose from the dead. And it happened just down the street from where I'm at, and that pumps me up. People make a lot of things the foundations of their faith. People make emotions, people make feelings, people make their parents' faith, but you got to make the resurrection of Jesus. That needs to be the cornerstone and the foundation of your faith if your faith is going to last. Because one day you're going to have doubts, you're going to have questions, you're going to get challenged, and when those challenges come, you got to know for sure if Jesus Christ rose from the dead or not. It's pretty clear that the tomb is empty. Nobody will argue the fact that the tomb is empty. It's pretty clear that Jesus appeared to many people, and so there's a couple options of either Jesus rose from the dead or something else happened. If he didn't rise from the dead, here's one of the possibilities. Maybe it's this thing called the swoon theory. The swoon theory says that Jesus never actually died. You guys, I believe this theory is crazy, because crucifixion was intended to kill people. They tortured Jesus. They murdered Jesus. They pierced a spear through his side into his heart. You guys, they put a crown of thorns on his head. They gave him 40 whippings, bam, with the cat of nine tails, bam, bam, across his back. Jesus should have been dead like 5 times, and the swoon theory claims that he never actually died. The problem is, he would have had to move the 2,000-pound stone. He would have had to sneak past the professional Roman soldiers that were guarding the tomb, and he would have then had to convince his disciples, even though he would have been nearly dead, that he'd risen from the dead. It's just not a plausible theory. Another possibility would be the hallucination theory. Now, the hallucination theory states that all the people who claim they saw Jesus, that they were just having hallucinations. The problem with that is, number one, it doesn't explain how the tomb is empty, and number two, if you were to study hallucinations, you'd learn that hallucinations do not happen in large groups of people, and Jesus appeared to groups of lots of people at the same time. He also appeared to a bunch of different people in different times, and that doesn't make sense if you study hallucinations. Hallucinations are individual events. And so hallucination theory, The other main theory that people propose is this thing called the conspiracy theory. And that theory states that all of the disciples just made up the fact that Jesus rose from the dead. All the hundreds of people that appeared to him, all of them were just lying. The conspiracy theory claims that all of the disciples, they all just made up this lie. And then the problem with that is that, number one, is that people don't die for lies. And all of Jesus' disciples, 11 out of 12 of them, they were tortured and murdered, claiming that Jesus had risen from the dead. And the thing is that if Jesus hadn't risen, if they hadn't actually seen him alive, they wouldn't have died for a lie. Because if this thing was a lie, they knew it was a lie. And all of them were willing to give their lives for the fact that they say that Jesus rose from the dead. That's strong evidence, you guys. People do not die for things they know are lies. The conspiracy theory is bunk. Don't believe it. Here's what actually happened. So imagine this. Jesus Christ, he gets killed. He's murdered. He's put on a cross. He gets put in the tomb. 3 days later, all of a sudden, he comes alive again. He begins appearing to all sorts of people. Now, imagine you're the disciples. The disciples, they were freaked out because they had been following Jesus. Jesus had gotten arrested and killed, and so they all ran and hid. You know, when Jesus was on the cross, they ran away. And so they're off, they're in hiding, and they're freaking out, thinking they're going to die. Well, then all of a sudden, Jesus begins to appear appear to them and to lots of other people. In fact, Jesus appears to over 500 people, some of them all at one time, in this exact country that I'm sitting in right now. And it was this incredible thing. And when Jesus appeared to those people, it changed them. Something crazy happened. Those disciples, Jesus' closest friends, they went from being scared little wimps to being bold and powerful and being people who literally changed the world. And I think the reason they changed so much, the thing that transformed them, is that they saw Jesus Christ alive. And I'm telling you guys, the fact that Jesus was dead and now he's alive, it changes everything. It's the thing that transforms not only their lives, but it can transform our lives. That fact has transformed my life. The fact that Jesus is alive means that me and you, we can be alive. We can be made alive because Jesus is alive. He has defeated death. Listen to me, guys. Jesus did not come to make bad people good. Jesus came to make dead people alive. And because of sin, me and you were dead until we put our faith in Christ. He didn't come to make bad people good. Jesus came to make dead people alive. And that includes you, and that includes all of your friends. Guys, check this out. I am at the Sea of Galilee. Right there. You see that? That is the lake where Jesus walked on water. And imagine you're God. Imagine you create the whole universe, and then you decide there's going to be a certain spot where you have your son do his life and do his ministry. Well, this is the exact spot that God picked to put Jesus on the planet. Like, of all the places on the planet, he picked this one. There's something special about this place right here, you guys, and about this lake and the region around it. And man, I'm right here. I'm on the Sea of Galilee. This is where Jesus walked on water, and I am pumped to be here right now. Listen, you guys, this is not just a made-up Bible story. This is the actual place, and it actually happened. And I'm telling you guys, the God who made water has the ability to walk on that water. And the God who created life has the ability to take a dead life and raise it up again. And that's what he did with Jesus, because Jesus was dead, but now he's alive, and I'm here experiencing it. And I'm telling you guys, this is true and this is real.